I'm sitting here with what is your title, Caleb?
Director of training is what I'm told.
Director of Training at the Blackline Institute, Caleb Arnold. And I'm sitting here. He's stepping up to the line again. He's been a guest before. But this is a special episode for us because we've accomplished some things here at Blackline that I think are pretty exciting. And we want to talk about it here today. In between you giving out some final exams, you either going to be a hero or a zero. See what I did there?
That's up to them, not me.
That's true. So, yeah. So why don't we talk about just a little bit? Last time we talked about your origins, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what Blackline is and what the Blackline Institute is about. And that's a you and me conversation, not just a me. But Blackline was established in 2022, and it was a group of people that were in construction, not all from the same company, but desiring to provide a new type of training, desiring to just provide another option. There weren't a lot of options here in the state of Pennsylvania as far as accredited training apprenticeship programs. Not that there were bad options, there just weren't many. And so we desired to have more of a direct connection to the training and the equipping of the men and women in our trades. And it's interesting, that happened when there was a lot of turmoil going on in our country, and it brought out different things that made us want to look at things differently. And I think it's important, whether you're in an organization or even in life, to not get stuck in a rut. You get stuck in a certain way of thinking. On our creative side of things, it's what we often will sit down, and the more heads that you can have at the table to come up with creative ideas, the better. Just because you get different perspectives.
Yep.
I mean, what are your thoughts just with some of the beginnings of Blackline and how we got where we are?
Well, we've come pretty far, pretty fast. It's an honor to be a part of something that at the infancy was like just seeing the need of getting training and equipping young men and women for the skilled trades. Like you said, there weren't not a lot of options. There was some things going on in our country and around the world at the time that were just kind of challenging. And so, you have to have a group of, businesses and companies in the central Pennsylvania area that were like, we gotta adjust what we're doing, and we can do this better, and adjust our strategy of how we're doing this and how we recruit the students and how we train and equip them and prepare them for a career in the skilled trades. It's just been an honor, and I think what we are accomplishing and what we're doing today is very special. So I think it's important for us, as we're starting out here in our third year, and to stay always wide-eyed, and always keep a fresh, open perspective. And I think that the team that we have here does a really good job of that. Always willing to learn from whether it's other programs, other trades, companies, businesses, organizations, and just seeing how they do things and how we can implement what they do or learn from their mistakes. And so that's been kind of help us grow, I think, at the pace and scale that we've been able to grow at so far. So.
Yeah. I think, it's interesting when we think about time. You're right. It hasn't been very fast, but it didn't feel that way.
No, it's not like a grind.
Yeah,
grind.
It definitely felt like a grind.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that I can remember, my first business when we celebrated a decade, and I was like, oh my goodness, that this is such a big deal. But it was like a decade felt like 20 years to me.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is now 20 years feels like 5 to me. When I look back, your perspective is different. And I think that's something to recognize in the origins of Blackline and our institute, and just what we're doing. It's like it will be 20 years like that.
Yep.
In a moment, it will be 20 years. And I think one of the big keys to success is not giving up, not quitting. And clearly you have to evaluate those things. There are certain seasons that come to an end, but when we came together and we really truly had no idea what we were doing, all of these different businesses that came together that were desiring a different type of training, we really didn't know what to do. And so then we hired some of the people that had done that, and we started that process. And we even hired some people that were in some of the other organizations that were already doing it, which I think really gave us a leg up to understanding some of the processes. And quite honestly, I don't know that we would have done it had we not hired them, because in the beginning it felt so daunting, to become an accredited school by the government, by the state, seemed almost impossible to be able to attain. But as we surrounded the different people around that, it was amazing those who were encouraging to keep moving forward with that and supporting one another.
Yeah, we've had a lot of key individuals that have helped us. I mean, it's definitely, that we owe a lot of debt and gratitude to the team and people outside of our organization that has helped us immensely from all over the country. And so, it's definitely it was a huge lift for us. It felt like, a bunch of skilled tradesmen trying to figure out how to get a program accredited by the state.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Sounds important, though. But yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, so we made that transition, and then you came on board, like we put our foot in the water, and then you came on board, and you kind of took some leadership of the team from an accreditation and an institute standpoint. I think one of the things that I found really interesting when you came on board was your desire and care for the students, and not just the care for them in that way, but the way that you had a different perspective than all of the business owners that were on our advisory board at that time, and it brought a different outlook of what we were doing. Talk a little bit about what, maybe you don't want to talk about this because it was traumatizing, but talk a little bit about what the accreditation process was for you. And also because the reality is we don't want things to be daunting, and we want to share what we know. If there are others out there, we want more of this. We have a real problem in the world right now, in the United States, where there is a shortage of trained people, and the desire and the need is only multiplying every day with AI, with technology, with all of this stuff, especially in the electrical space. And just to be clear, our school is now accredited for electrical construction here in the state. And talk a little bit about what that process was like, what you and the team had to face, how you had to go through that.
I mean, we were literally starting at, day one on the job for, a level 1 apprentice showing up at the job site. Well, I think I need a pair of channel locks and a hammer and some kind of tool belt from Harbor Freight or something. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. We just knew that it's something we had to do. I think we all put our line in the sand of, we're going to figure this out for the students, for the apprentices. I mean, that's what this is for. To equip them for a career in the skilled trades, and specifically with our accredited program in electrical. That's why it's for them. It's. I mean, obviously, completely transparent. Like, the local businesses and everybody benefits when you have skilled tradesmen, skilled electrical apprentices, skilled electrical journey workers. But to me, the motivating factor was their career path, their knowledge, equipping them, not to just be someone that does electrical work, but understands the theory behind it, understands the National Electrical Code, understands all the nuances of the trade, is able to keep up to date with the code changes and technology changes, and give them that foundation for the rest of their career. And honestly, to take it one step further, the driving force is like their kids, their wives, their husbands, like we're equipping these to provide for their family. And provide that like to have a skilled, where mom or dad is a skilled journey worker, an electrician that has graduated from an apprenticeship program, that can that can be generational change, for a family.
Yeah.
That could be the line of stand. Remember when Grandpa was an electrician? Because of that, then I was able to do that, and now my grandkids can do this. And all this goes back to when he put his nose, or she put her nose to the grindstone and went through a accredited apprenticeship program, and it just opens up all these doors. So go back to your question about like the origin and how hard it was. Man, it was freaking one of the hardest things I ever had to do, because I had no idea. Where to even start. What website do I go to? Google. How do you find this stuff out? And it was. But we had, like I said, we had a lot of people that really helped us. We had some people with the state that were amazing. I got a shout out to Joe Bass.
Oh, absolutely.
Joe Bass was so patient with us, because our paperwork would, we'd be missing stuff and not understanding, just learning. And as we progressed, we got better, and we started learning the language. There's a whole lingo and government acronyms and alphabet soup, as you can imagine.
A little bit.
Yeah. It was one of the most frustrating things, because it wasn't something for like a skilled tradesman or woman. You would understand this. It wasn't something, okay, here's this box, we need to fix it, build it, grow it, whatever. It's this nebulous accreditation process that we're trying to figure out. It just wasn't like this physical thing in front of us. Okay, we got to build this, we got to bend this piece of conduit, we got to wire this up, we got to fix this or troubleshoot it. So it was definitely a challenge, and I think we all grew from it. And we came stronger as a team. But it wasn't fun. It was not fun at all. We went to the board 4 times.
Well, my goodness, we were meeting with the board many more than 3 or 4 times. But what you're talking about is, so you guys would have monthly meetings with the state.
Yep.
Where you would go before the, what was it called, the council or the tribunal, maybe is what you would say.
Yeah.
But you would go before them, and then but 3 times you had to go before the board to get approved.
Yep.
Where you put all your stuff together, you check you put this big package together and you submit it before them, and they, in a right way, are looking at it to it's like you have kids that are taking their finals today, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like you're taking your test and you're going before the board, and their job is to make sure that you know your stuff. And
and you fulfill all their obligations, and you understand the protocols and processes, because you're accrediting. The state is accrediting you.
Yeah, they're saying, hey, this is a school that we're putting our seal on. Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 times we went before them, and 3 times we failed.
Yeah.
So that is like I mean.
Hey, can we edit that out?
No, don't edit that out. That's a badge of honor. That means that we have grit and tenacity, know.
We're too stupid to quit.
Yeah, a little bit of that too, probably. I think they got sick of us coming back and said, maybe, I don't know, but
I do think that was one of the statements where it's like, you guys aren't going away, are you?
No.
Yeah.
So I think that, but in what we do, that's what we want to teach our apprentices, that grit, that tenacity, those work ethics. Not just the mechanics and of how electricity works and how to do the physical part of the job, but just those things of man, we failed 3 times and we kept getting back, dusting ourselves. It was embarrassing, because we have other businesses, people in the area, stakeholders,
on our advisory board, we had other people that were on our board that are like, all right, you're going before them.
Yeah.
It is really something to call people and be like, and we failed.
Yeah, you have other companies that are waiting to join our program.
Yeah.
That are waiting for us to get accredited, and they're expecting, and then you have all their their apprentices that you have all that. You just start feeling this weight on you.
Yeah.
And we failed again, and it's just, man, be frustrated after we walk out, heads down a little bit, and we look at each other and be like, we'll be back,
Yeah.
We'll be back. So. Just not giving up.
Well, I don't know. I think there were some times where I remember one in particular, if we're going to do this thing where we're honest. My office is upstairs, and you and the rest of your team was meeting with the board, and I came downstairs, and there's these big double doors that go out into the street from our office with steps that kind of go down to the sidewalk. And I'm walking down the steps, and I can see you outside sitting on the steps with your head in your hands. And I'm like, This was like the second or third time, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking that meeting didn't go that well. And
No.
as a leader, I think that's one of my biggest struggles, especially when there are people out there doing things that I'm not, like I can't be a part of everything.
Right.
And it's very difficult when it's hard for other people. I never realized how much I don't want it to be hard for people. And I think sometimes if you're a leader and you're high in responsibility, you can feel like, well, you need to take that for them, or you need to help them through that. And I think helping is good, but I think we also have to remember that sometimes when we do that, we steal the joy that comes from the grit and the tenacity of pushing through it.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the greatest parenting mistakes in this generation. Don't let little Johnny or little Sally have some pain or suffering or struggle with something.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the same thing, I think. But, you know, I have 2 kids, as you know, a 1 and a 4-year-old. And, man, I don't want them to struggle. Whether they're trying to open a box or put Lego together. I want to, like, jump here, man, let's do it. No, but I take all the joy away from them. And it builds confidence.
Yeah.
That I can figure shit out.
Absolutely.
Pardon my French, but it is. And so, we have that sense of accomplishment now getting accredited, and we wear that as a badge of honor. And I think is our for like you in that moment, you could have came alongside me and maybe coached. I mean, you would, in that moment and said, hey, I'm going to take this from you.
Yeah.
And because we were struggling, and maybe you could have done that, but
I'll be honest, I struggle with it, not out of arrogance of thinking that I knew any better. I just didn't. I don't like seeing people in hardship.
But I think, I mean, that's one of the, whether you're with your kids, or you're on a job site, or you're in a boardroom, or wherever in life, man, I think we all don't want to see someone, like most of us, we don't want to see someone struggle, but that's what builds the character.
Yeah.
That's what builds that confidence that I can do. And so I appreciate you allowing us to continue to grind and struggle and build that. And now we have accomplished it. And I think that's one of the our greatest assets here at Blackline and at the Institute is, our students, our apprentices, our instructors, our team.
And the companies that they come from.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's
a specific group of companies, and I think that these companies that have come, they've helped us in that way.
Immensely.
To do that.
Immensely. Yeah, immensely.
I see some people coming here behind us.
Uh-oh.
It looks like some of your students have actually showed up.
Oh, wow, they actually wanted to come.
Yeah.
So it's exciting here this weekend. Our level 3 and 4 students are taking their final exams for the year.
Okay.
So I guess that's what these guys are here to do.
Okay.
So maybe I should pop off here and.
Yeah. Why don't you tell them what to do and
get them started up here.
Yeah.
So
okay.
All right.
Well, look at you guys. All right. Cool.
This is live, so you're gonna be famous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You guys are on camera now.
I told them that you guys were recording, so yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Red is right.
Yeah.
Blue is left. It's complicated.
It's complicated.
But you know how to be accredited, so yeah.
I don't know. I guess.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was just about, before some of the students walked over here, I was just about to. I always ask people this question, and what is your one thing? And so I thought for this podcast we do a little bit different, especially since you and I both answered that. Let's answer both of us in the way towards education and training. And so I can go first since I have a thought in my head.
Okay.
For me, in learning new things, I was just talking with my son the other day about this. For me, it's about my notebook. And I often will be in a meeting or in a class or something like that, and I write things down. And I remember I was in this meeting, and this guy was talking, and we're sitting around a table, and it was just a couple of us. And he's like, hey, you don't need to write this down. I'm not saying anything important. And I said, well, if I want to remember it, I do. And so I have notebooks. Just the other day, I was in my study at home, and I have a bookcase on the wall, and I have notebooks going back almost 20 years.
Wow.
And because I get a standard Moleskine, or there's another German notebook that I can't pronounce. I won't try it on air. But and I write in them, and it takes me a few months, and I fill it up, and because I write in them every day, and then I also am always taking notes and whatnot. And I feel like when I do that, something happens in my brain, and it's like if I want to remember something, I write it down. I might never read it again, but when I write it down, it does something in my mind.
Yep.
And the interesting thing I'll say is having them for over a decade. The other day, I was really questioning what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I journal every day. And my wife said to me, she goes, "Well, Joshua, why don't you go look at what you thought when you started this?" I'll be really honest. It was about Blackline.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, why don't you go look at what were you thinking when you started this?
Yeah.
And I went back through my notebooks and I found out, and I was like, wow, this is something that we have to do. And we had no idea why. And she was saying when you started it, because she knows from my perspective, I didn't start it alone. That would have been impossible for me. And the reality is I really believe in team and people and building out a team. I've learned over the years that not everybody believes in that. A lot of people say they do.
Right.
But a lot of people don't understand what team is. And I think it's because in a team, you have to sacrifice on the front end for everyone to gain the reward on the back end, which everyone will partake in. But if you desire that reward for yourself, one, it will not be the same reward that the team gets that you would get. And some people just don't, that's not how they're wired. They don't have that perspective. And two, some people think they want that, but they don't have the grit, as you said earlier, to put that in. So that's my one thing, a notebook and team. That's two things. So, yeah.
So what's the question again? Exactly.
What is your one thing related to education, training, learning, growing?
My one thing, we had talked about this previously, but I mean, the one thing that drives me, or my focal point, or our focal point, is just equipping.
Yeah. Yeah.
I spent some time in the military, and and learning how to equip myself and equip my squad, to do the things that we needed to do, and then also support the platoon and the company and the battalion in a bigger picture, and then also understanding, we want to equip our apprentices. I just don't want to train them how to wire a three-way switch, or how to program a variable frequency drive or something like that, or how to size a three-phase transformer. Like, yeah, you can Google that nowadays.
Yeah.
But like, just equipping them in where to find the information, how to understand it, how to think critically, and equip them with the tools that they need to be successful in the trades, which a lot of it is grit. Yeah. And so that's our big thing, and that's my big thing. I just equipping people. Like, I want to equip my boys for a successful life, and then part of that is allowing them to endure some hardship.
Yeah.
And saying no to them, and having to, discipline them in certain ways if they disobey. Or there's rules in this house. Yeah. And if you talk back to mom, there's going to be some consequences for that. And so, equipping my kids, equipping these students, equipping Blackline to continue to move forward. Because I think when you invest in the holistic a person and equip them, it carries them not just one step, but two steps, but the rest of their lives. They can build off that platform, and then that can be a generational change for their kids and their grandkids, and and it has the ability to just grow if you just equip one person. The ripple effects of that are incalculable, in my opinion. And so it takes a lot more work to equip someone, because we could just, at the Institute, we could just roll into class and say, here, read this. Yeah. There'll be a test next week on it. And they make them read it and they'll pass the test, but they won't be equipped. Yeah. To be a skilled tradesman or woman, and be an honorable man or woman in the job site and in their family. And so, yeah, that's my jam right there.
I love that word, equipping. We were talking earlier about it. and I looked up the definition of it, and equipping is to give someone the resource or the tools in order to do what it is that they need to do,
Yep.
the purpose in the job. And when you think about that in the trades, it's very interesting. You can't, especially in electrical, which is where my experience is, but you cannot do certain things in our trade without the tool. Like if you don't have the right tool, well, honestly, even to what you said about, when you were talking about your kids and there are rules in this house, well, that's an interesting thing about the trades and equipping and teaching and mentoring the next generation. There are rules in the trades. It is not like other things where it's like soft or gushy. Like they are unforgivable rules. I mean, and maybe you want to call them laws, like Newton's law of gravity. That's a pretty unforgivable rule. Here behind the camera, there's a couple story building, brick building, and I'm looking at the roof line, and it's like if someone fell off of that roof line, there's no getting around that when they hit the ground, that they're going to hit the ground, and there are rules in the trades that if we don't equip people, one, to know them, two, to see them, and three, to recognize that you can't get around them, and if you do, bad things are going to happen. I just talked with an owner of an electrical outfit last week, and I asked him, I said, he was spending a lot of money on training and improving his team. And I said, well, why are you spending so much money on this? Why are you investing in this way? Why are you doing this? And he told me a story about how he almost died because of a lack of training. And it's like, I think that training is one of those things that we sometimes feel like in the trade specifically, well, I figured this out and I was able to do it. But when you are in a program with other people and you're talking about other jobs, other things that are going on, again, that comes back to that team perspective where you can get input from other people and you can learn things and improve so that you might not have to learn the way that some of us have learned throughout our lives, very painfully.
Right. I mean, and that, to that point, like there's a lot of contractors, a lot of electricians out there that I don't need to go through an accredited program.
Yeah.
We don't need to invest in our employees. We need to equip them. They just come through and start day one, and we'll just kind of learn from the school of hard knocks. And man, I just hate that because that employee then is put in a box.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they can work for that, but when you go through an accredited program like ours, man, that just opens up Pandora's box as far as all the different opportunities you have because you graduated from a program that was accredited by the state, and your credits can transfer, and you can do all kinds of things, and it just gives you another level of clout, on your resume or in your back pocket, and you're equipped better, and you understand things at a different level. I mean, when you're out in the field, or you're in a job trailer, and you could see someone that's went through a 4-year apprenticeship program, and somebody, and maybe 6 years into the trade, or someone that's just been doing it for 20 years. Well, they know, okay, I need this size locked up for this, and I need this part for that, but they don't really know the trade like someone that's went through an accredited apprenticeship program. And so, yeah, man, I'm all for training and equipping.
Yeah. Well, and I like, I said this earlier, but equipping, that really is what we want to do. We want to equip men and women to be able to go out on the job and have the things that they need to figure it out. There's no way to teach for every scenario. There's no way to know everything that might happen. But I think one of the most important things to mentor and to share with the next generation of workers, which that has nothing to do with your age. Every time we say that, we think of people in their early 20s. We've had guys in their 40s in our program,
Yeah.
And I think equipping is what is required to give them what they need to figure it out.
Yeah.
We used to say, I remember I had an instructor who would say to me, I'd be like, well, how do I find this problem? He said, my job is to teach you how to read the code book and find the answer, not to give you the answer.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And so I think that's really what we want to do with equipping is we want to give them the tools so that they can find the answers. And some of that is related in soft skills, some of the things that we teach, and also some of the culture that we try to impart at Blackline. It's why we're strategic in who is a part of our organization, and also we're strategic in the requirements and the type of organization that we want to be. Not just anybody can come join our school. It's not like just write a check. I mean, we like that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not like you can just write a check and you can be here. We're very strategic about, well, who is your company? What are they about? Why are they, are you wanting this? And the interesting thing is, a lot of times when a company is already wanting to invest in their people, it's like the first box to check in the litmus test of what is this culture? Does it align with ours? Because when we align cultures and who we are, we're able to go farther in the same direction with less friction.
Well, yeah, everybody's pulling in the same direction.
Everybody's pulling the same direction.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Caleb a little bit. Now that you have accreditation and the school has that, and what we're doing, like, we're still teaching the same classes. That was one of the things that the state required.
Yep.
To be doing what it is that you're going to do, but we've been doing it in a way and showing them we're doing these, we're checking these boxes that you want us to check. We're meeting these requirements. But what is, in equipping these students and equipping the next generation, what is it that you believe is essential and important in that for them and for employers as well that might be investing in this? And while you think on that, let me just make this statement. A lot of you might not realize this about apprenticeship, but a lot of apprenticeships, and in our organization, about 93% are paid for by the employer. And, we've talked here a lot about the importance of the student and the apprentice, and they are important. They are our focus. But I don't want to negate the fact that these employers are, shelling out the cash to invest in them, while they're here. And some of our employers, even, I would say more than 50% of them, are paying their students to sit in class as well.
Yep.
So that's pretty significant.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. The story comes to mind the other night. The other day, my wife and I, we celebrated our 14th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
We're getting there. We got some miles on us now. She's amazing. But we stopped at a store on the way home, and after we went out for dinner, and the guy, it was a 20-some-year-old guy, local guy from our community, checking me out, and he was a former, he used to play high school sports, football, wrestled, and huge athlete, in shape, jacked, nice kid, hard worker. And he's checking me out, making minimum wage.
Yeah.
And like my heart sunk. I'm like, you could see it in his eyes, like defeated.
Oh man. Because
he's like, he had some plans that fell through in life, and so now he's just working this dead end job with no path, no clear. But he's got pedigree. He's got work ethic. He's got, And so we walked out to the car, and I reached to my bag in the back seat, and my wife's like, "What are you doing?" And I just went and got my business card and gave my business card.
Yeah.
Just because, like, hey man, my name's Caleb. We have a training program for apprentices. If you're ever interested in learning about skilled trades, this can be something where you can make a lot of, make good money, have a great career, learn a lot of cool stuff, see a lot of cool things, do a lot of cool things, and like that right there is what's my.
Yeah.
That's what they're like. Those kids out there, those young adults, or even someone in their 40s, it's just like, I can't do this job no more. I'm sick of this dead end job, or they lost their job, the economy and everything's going on right now. And man, we have a credit program. We can get you trained up, and you can start a whole. There's so many things. Like, I mean, talking to different the stuff you get into, the stuff you get to see, the people you get to meet, the things you get to learn, the satisfaction of it. But just those people out there, that's like, who's the next one? Who's the next one? Who's the next one? Who's next?
Yeah.
Whose life can we positively impact? Whose family can we positively impact by giving them something that pays really good and is super rewarding?
Yeah.
And something that, like we talked on our previous podcast, you can't take what I know.
Yeah.
From me. You can't take it from me. And that's my driving force.
When you learn your trade craft, it's one of those things that it cannot be taken And I think probably one of the most important things in tradecraft to learn is learning how it is to continually improve. And that's what, that's what apprenticeship, I think, done right, does. It equips the individual to learn how to continually and constantly be looking to improve. Because when I was young, I used to think, well, when I graduate, I'm done. I don't need to study. I don't need to learn. And unfortunately, I picked a trade that it is always evolving. It is always changing. It is always, how often does a new code book come out? Like
every 3 years.
Every 3 years. So the reality is teaching people how to equip them and improve them. And when you're a business, it's the same thing for employers like with you. Like I talked with an employer, and they actually had cards made up, and on the card it said, "You rock." That's what it said. And they would give them to their leaders in their company, the different people in their company. And when they saw someone like you saw doing those certain things, they would be like, you know what? Here's a card, and it said "You rock," and it's like they saw work ethic, they saw grit, they saw these things that aligned, and it was a card telling them, hey, reach out to us. We might have a place for someone like you.
Yep.
Because they saw the core things that they needed in those individuals. So this week here in this building behind us across the railroad tracks, before we started here, we were talking, and the train was making a whole lot of noise, so
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that's not happening right now. But here in this building this coming week, you're having graduation.
Yep.
And you're going to be what all is happening with that? What all is entailed with what's going on with that?
Well, graduation for us is just a celebration and honoring the our students, our apprentices, the men and women who have grinded, for the past since August of last year. Labor Day weekend is when we the week after Labor Day is when we kick off our school year, like most schools, and it's every week, and it's nights. They got to study, they got to take tests and quizzes, and it's labs, and while they're still working out in the field, like it's an amazing opportunity to be able to get paid and learn and go through an accredited program, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah. It's at 9 o'clock at night when you worked a 10-hour day and you just got done putting your kids down to bed, and you mean now I got to take 3 quizzes. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it's all about just honoring them, and having some keynote speakers come and charge them and motivate them to keep going, to keep learning, to keep driving, to keep, you're not done. This is the launching pad. Yeah. So we celebrate every year, one first year apprentices that are graduating to 2 and 3 to 4, and then we really honor our 4th year that are graduating out, and just the opportunity to see them and their families, their parents, their kids, and just it's a special moment for us. And a lot of times in the skilled trades we don't, things like that, we kind of just like, nah, whatever, we go back to work or go home and watch the Phillies game, or you just kind of gloss over stuff. We don't, and so we really try to take a really holistic approach to making sure they feel special.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing, and what they have accomplished, and what the students behind us now that are taking some final exams are accomplishing right now as we speak.
Yeah.
So that's what we're set to do this upcoming week, and we have a lot of fun. Our graduation is not a typical stuffy graduation.
This is true. This is true.
We have a lot of fun at our graduation. And
not a suit and tie.
Nope, not a suit. You can wear one if you want.
Yeah.
But you might be the only one.
Yeah.
no cap and gowns, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Just some dirty hands and clean money, as they say.
Yeah, dirty hands, clean money. Yeah. One of the cool things that I think you had a hand in, and you could explain a little bit, is the challenge coins that we give our students. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Let's see if I have it on me here, because when we founded Blackline, that was one of the things that we did with those who partnered with us. Oh, look at that! I actually have a year 2 coin in my pocket. So for the Institute. So this is our challenge coin, and on the back, it says honesty, excellence, and grit. Those are things that if you want to be a part of Blackline, you're required to have. Like Caleb said, it's hard, and the reality is If you don't have honesty, well, then we can't trust you and you can't trust us. If you don't have excellence, you're not trying to continually improve. And if you don't have grit, you're probably not going to stick around long enough to be able to get what you need to succeed.
Right.
And this is a 2-year coin. And one of the reasons that we actually celebrate each year, some people might think, oh, well, everybody gets a trophy. No, this is a hard coin to earn. Apprenticeship for Electrical is a 4-year program here in Pennsylvania, at least at the Blackline Institute. It is at some other schools as well. And 4 years is a long time to some people when we were talking about that earlier. And this is your 2-year coin. We celebrate every year because even if it's just a year, it's an accomplishment. Oh, yeah. And it's one worth celebrating. And when you graduate the 4th year, it's a different type of coin. Each year is a different coin. But to talk about what the challenge coin is about, and Caleb, maybe you can help with this a little bit. I hope it doesn't rain too much. It's raining on us right now.
That's all right.
We'll see if we can muscle our way through it. But with these coins, a challenge coin actually comes from military beginnings.
Yeah, they were started in the Roman Empire. Is when
they
were started.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, the challenge coins were given, in the Roman Empire, if you had a soldier that went above and beyond Call of Duty or something, they were given a coin, a challenge coin. And so that's just something that's been in the military. World War II, the tail gunners for the B-52 bombers, that was like the worst job because a tail gunner, in a B-52 bomber, you're on an island.
Yeah.
Back in the back, but you are in some ways the most important person on that aircraft because you're protecting the six of that aircraft.
Yeah.
And you're on an island, and if you don't do your job, the whole crew might die. And as one B-52 goes down, another one, the squadron, and then the mission fails of where you're trying to, in Eastern Europe, and all those missions that protected all of our, one reason why we were able to win the war, the Allies, was because of the B-52 bomber and the tail gunners. And so they would get challenge coins after they completed a mission and stuff. And so it's just kind of on that mindset and that thesis that we decided to offer challenge coins to our students, our apprentices as they graduate each year.
It's a little bit more than a certificate or a piece of paper.
It's got some weight to it.
It's got some weight to it, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm always carrying one with me because I like to put my hand on it every now and then and remember why it is that we don't quit, why we don't give up.
Yep.
So
for sure.
Yeah. Well, Caleb, one last thing as we close here, because it is raining, and I see some of the other instructors or mentors are showing up here.
Yep.
What is a mistake that you don't want to repeat that you would share with your students that are out there that they can learn from? Thought I was going to let that one go, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, we could have a whole podcast about that.
Yeah.
One of my biggest mistakes was I went through a season in my career where I got complacent, and I thought I kind of knew it all, and I had to reach a spot in my career was in a role, in a position in a company where I kind of thought, man, I got it made.
Yeah,
I know it all. I got it all, and then life happens, and you get punched in the mouth a couple times and knocked down, and I realized, hey, I don't know it all. I don't know jack squat.
Yeah.
Or you meet someone. We've had the privilege of a couple times having a member of the code making panel come and teach or offer some training seminars at our program, and I'm like, I'm pretty good. I'm a pretty good electrician. I know my stuff.
Yeah.
And then he comes down and is just like, I feel like a level 1 apprentice, when he's giving his talk, and I'm sitting with the students like, whoa. And so my challenge to anyone in life is a challenge to me, professionally, personally, in my marriage and my kids, my faith. Don't get complacent. And as our students level 1 and they go level 2, level 3, you kind of get like, I think we've all been there. Like I'm starting to get this figured out. I've been doing the trade in the field a couple years, and I know more than my foreman, and I don't know why our company doesn't do X, Y, or Z, man. I'm here that you don't know nothing.
Yeah. That's the truth.
You know enough to be dangerous, and I mean, I say that about myself now even. So I would just say my challenge would be just to not grow complacent.
Yeah. I think that's a really good one. For me, it's interesting. I'm holding a 2-year coin. That same thing happened to me when I was a 3rd-year apprentice. I had enough experience and knowledge that I really thought that I knew it all. And I can remember thinking, I don't need to go through 4th year. I've seen this and I've seen that, and oh my goodness, the grace that my mentors had for me in that time. And I don't know how much grace it was. They just let me fail.
Yeah.
They let me fail, and I quickly learned. By the time I got into 4th year, I quickly learned that 4th year isn't the end. You don't get any more coins after 4th year, but you do keep building experience, and you never will have enough in this world that we're in.
Well, you get to start getting different kinds of coins because as you gain more experience, you keep learning. If you learning and you don't grow complacent, and you continue to learn, you get more money.
Yeah, exactly.
You grow in your position with your company, and you continue to grow and move up as your company grows, and you are a part of that. And as you continue to grow, you get a different kind of coin.
So basically, my childhood, I was a child of the 80s, so Super Mario, collecting coins, that pretty much is your life lesson right there. Mario Brothers.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, Caleb, thank you for sitting down with me here and just having this conversation. I know that you're itching to get with your students and whatnot. For people that are out there, if you're a business or you're a student, you don't even have to have a job. If you want to come here and pay for your own training, you can.
Yep.
Where do they go to find out more about this?
You can blacklineltd.com would be a good place. You can look us up on all the social media handles, especially Instagram. But yeah, just to reiterate, for those people out there, for those of you who feel like I'm stuck, man, I'm telling you, skilled trades are freaking awesome.
I agree.
And there are options. You're not stuck.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have an employer,
we can help you find one.
We can help you find one.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will equip you.
Yes. Yes.
So we not just educate, but equip you in life. And even if you can find, and you have to pay your way. I think I can say this. Maybe you can edit this out if I shouldn't. But it's much more affordable.
Yes.
Than going to college.
Yes. Yes. You will get what you pay for sure, and then some.
Yeah.
And then some.
You won't be taking out $60,000 a year loans to come learn from us. So.
Our goal is to get you into the workforce and in a safe and effective way to equip you.
Yep,
so
exactly.
Thank you, Caleb.
Well, thank
you.
you.
Again, like he said, check out blacklineltd.com, the Institute page, which is on there, or you can email us at training@blacklineltd.com. So step up to the line with us and invest in your people. So, all right, we're out.